Iran's Foreign Minister Hossein Amir-Abdollahian said Hamas is ready to release civilian hostages if the world pushes for the freedom of 6,000 Palestinians held as prisoners in Israel. Picture this: a region that has been embroiled in conflict for decades. On one side you have Israel, a country that has been subjected to relentless attacks. On the other side you have Hamas, a Palestinian political organization that has been labeled a terrorist group by many. These two entities have been locked in a bitter and seemingly endless feud. Now imagine a third party stepping in, attempting to mediate. Enter Iran's foreign minister, Hossein Amir-Abdollahian. Recently he made a statement that could potentially mark a turning point in this conflict. He said that Hamas is ready to release civilian hostages if the world pushes for the freedom of 6,000 Palestinians held as prisoners in Israel. Intriguing, isn't it? Could Iran, a country often seen as a thorn in the side of the West, be the one to broker peace in this volatile region? Or is this just another political maneuver in a complex web of international relations? Stay tuned as we delve into the complexities of this intriguing development. Iran's foreign minister, Hossein Amir-Abdollahian, recently made a groundbreaking statement. This announcement has stirred the waters of the already turbulent Middle East political scene. He asserted that Hamas, the Palestinian group known for its resistance against Israel, is prepared to release civilian hostages. But there's a caveat. This concession is only to be made if the international community pushes for the liberation of around 6,000 Palestinians currently held as prisoners in Israel. Let's delve a little deeper into this proposition. It's a bold move suggesting a tit-for-tat approach, a negotiation strategy that has often been used throughout history as a means to resolve conflicts. The idea is simple. You give something and you get something in return. In this case, the exchange is the freedom of civilian hostages for the release of Palestinian prisoners. But what does this mean in the grand scheme of things? For one, it shows that Iran, a long-standing ally of Hamas, is willing to step into the negotiation arena, leveraging its influence over the Palestinian group. The statement also signifies that Hamas is ready to soften its stance, albeit conditionally, an indication that it is open to dialogues and negotiations. However, the proposition is not without its complexities. The release of 6,000 prisoners is a tall order, one that Israel might not easily agree to. The question of who these prisoners are, what they were imprisoned for, and whether they pose a potential threat to Israel's security if released, are all factors that need to be considered. Furthermore, there's the issue of the civilian hostages. Their release has been a pressing matter, and this proposition brings a glimmer of hope. Yet it also poses a moral dilemma. Should the international community give in to such demands? Or should it find another way to secure their release without having to compromise on other fronts? This proposition opens up a new avenue for negotiation, but it also raises a variety of questions. So what role does Iran play in this situation? Let's delve into that. Iran has a complex relationship with both Hamas and Israel. Historically, Iran has been a staunch supporter of Hamas, providing the group with financial aid and military training. This support stems from Iran's ideological opposition to Israel and its belief in the Palestinian cause. Now Iran's foreign minister, Hossein Amir-Abdollahian, has announced that Hamas is ready to release civilian hostages. But there's a condition: the world needs to push for the freedom of 6,000 Palestinians held as prisoners in Israel. This announcement suggests that Iran could potentially act as a mediator in the Israel-Hamas conflict. But what does this mean exactly? Well, Iran could leverage its influence over Hamas to negotiate an agreement. This could involve the release of hostages, a ceasefire, or even a longer-term peace agreement. Yet, it's important to note that Iran's role as a mediator could be controversial. Iran and Israel have long been at odds, with tensions escalating in recent years. This animosity could make negotiations tricky and outcomes uncertain. Further complicating matters is Iran's own political situation. Iran has been grappling with international sanctions and a struggling economy. Its potential role in mediating the Israel-Hamas conflict could be seen as a way to improve its international standing and gain leverage in its ongoing negotiations with world powers. On the other hand, it's also possible that Iran's involvement could exacerbate tensions. Iran's support for Hamas and its ideological opposition to Israel could make it a biased mediator. This could potentially lead to a hardening of positions rather than a resolution. Iran's involvement adds another layer of complexity to this already intricate issue. How has the world responded to this proposition? As the chessboard of global politics shifts, the world watches closely. Major players are weighing in with their stance on Iran's proposition, and the US is no exception. President Joe Biden has been navigating a delicate balance, expressing support for Israel's right to defend itself, while also calling for a ceasefire in the past. This time, however, the situation is more complex, with Iran acting as a negotiator for Hamas. This move has generated mixed reactions within the US itself. A group of 19 Republican governors has made a strong push, urging President Biden to project American strength by unequivocally supporting Israel. They argue for prioritizing the protection of Americans in Israel and taking action against Iran. On the other hand, progressive Democrats are pushing for a more assertive stance on protecting Palestinian human rights. This clearly indicates the divides within the US political landscape, which could potentially hinder a unified stance on the issue. The international community is no less divided. The US has found itself isolated at the United Nations over the Gaza issue in the past, with the US blocking Security Council action and emphasizing the need for intensive diplomacy. Given this history, it's plausible to anticipate potential obstacles and challenges to the negotiation. Regional players like Egypt, who have been involved in behind-the-scenes diplomacy, also hold significant sway. Their reactions and involvement could greatly affect the course of negotiations. However, the fact remains that the civilian death toll in the region remains a pressing concern. The Biden administration is concurrently preparing significant initiatives on Gaza humanitarian reconstruction. This indicates a desire for a humanitarian pause in the violence to deliver relief assistance to Gaza and build a sustainable calm. The world's response to this proposal could significantly influence the outcome. The global community's stance on Iran's proposition could be a turning point in this long-standing conflict. The reactions are varied, the stakes are high, and the world watches on, waiting for the next move in this geopolitical game. This negotiation could potentially shift the dynamics of the Israel-Hamas conflict. If successful, the outcome could represent a significant turning point, one that could foster a new era of dialogue and diplomacy between the two sides. Iran's active role as a mediator could also reshape the geopolitical landscape in the Middle East, with potential implications for regional stability. The release of civilian hostages, a key demand of Hamas, would be a significant humanitarian achievement. This could help to alleviate some of the human suffering that has unfortunately characterized this conflict, and could potentially pave the way for further negotiations on other contentious issues. On the other hand, the demand for the release of 6,000 Palestinians held as prisoners in Israel could prove to be a sticking point. The Israeli government may view this as a concession to Hamas, and such a move could face resistance from various quarters within Israel. Furthermore, the involvement of Iran, a country often viewed with suspicion by many Western nations, could complicate the negotiation process. Questions about Iran's motives and the potential for increased Iranian influence in the region could cause unease among some international players. The potential impact of these negotiations on the Israel-Hamas conflict is enormous. If successful, they could usher in a new chapter in the long and complex history of this conflict. However, the path to peace is rarely straightforward. Each step forward often comes with its own set of challenges and hurdles. While the potential for peace is promising, the road to it is undoubtedly fraught with challenges. The idea of Iran mediating between Hamas and Israel is a complex and intriguing one. As we've explored in this video, Iran's Foreign Minister Hossein Amir-Abdollahian has made a bold statement, suggesting that Hamas is ready to release civilian hostages if the world pushes for the release of 6,000 Palestinians held as prisoners in Israel. This move by Iran has stirred various reactions within the international community, with some seeing it as a potential shift in the dynamics of the Israel-Hamas conflict, while others remain skeptical. The role of Iran, a nation with its own complex relationship with both Israel and Hamas, adds another layer of intricacy to an already multifaceted issue. What remains clear is that this development could potentially reshape the landscape of the Israel-Hamas conflict. stirring new dialogues and perhaps opening new avenues towards resolution. However, the ultimate implications of Iran's proposed negotiation are yet to be seen. In this volatile geopolitical landscape, only time will reveal the true impact of Iran's proposed negotiation. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more insightful videos.